we have these institutions and these bureaucracies growing and becoming a place where people can have long-term careers,
Right.
which is different than we just talked about World War II, guys coming in, doing that job and getting it and coming home to build this country into what it is today. So really, I think it starts in 1947 where we see that lack of accountability across the board. And we see people looking at things. It's called the profession of arms for a reason, as you know, not the career of arms. And there's a
Right.
difference between a profession and a career. But it's interesting that you see that and talk about it in your new book, Hard Truths, that there is this risk aversion that's baked in to these bureaucracies now.
Yeah, and then it, really kind of went on steroids in the 70s when we went from the draft to what I call the careerist military, not necessarily the all volunteer. And the incentive becomes don't have a mark on your officer evaluation report, don't have a mark on your career, and therefore the best way to do that is to take as little personal risk or career risk as possible. And that, in isolated incidents are one thing, but when you have an entire force that way, and then you have a general officer corps that has to go to Senate confirmation for 3 and 4 star, which, look, as a constitutionalist, I like the people's house and the senators having some oversight of the military and who leads our military. But at the same time, it introduces an element of politics into our military leadership. And I think all of that combined, we have an extremely risk averse force at this point, and even a risk averse intelligence community that, I think is part of the explanation of why we haven't really won decisively anything since the Gulf War.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. And even those guys having to go before Congress, which I as well think is important, but it bakes in early on this vision of if I want to get here, then I need to do this, this, and this. So you have someone 20, 25, 30 years of being risk averse so that he can sit in front of, or now she sits in front of Congress, however it is, with a record that doesn't have too many things to pick apart in it. That's pretty bland. If that makes sense. And it's tough. I talk to people about it all the time and they don't really, I don't know if they believe me or not when I say that you can rise to the top in our military service if you do a few things, not piss positive on a piss test and not get arrested for domestic violence and not get too many DUIs. Like if you don't do those 3 things and you just have this kind of cleanish record as you go up, not too many risks, then you can sit in front of Congress and essentially become a leader of the greatest military in the world.
I call it don't have a zipper problem and don't have a money problem. And you don't have either of those 2 things. You can be only quasi competent, but you kind of stick it out, do your time, and have the right jobs for the right bosses. And you have this kind of self-licking ice cream cone, and we continue to promote the same types of people, promoted by the same types of people who take as little risk as possible. I got to tell you, the Pentagon needs to be cleaned out. I have never seen an organization where you can have the worst recruiting as we do right now since Vietnam. You can have the worst readiness that we've had in decades. You can have your premier, the most expensive weapon system ever in history, the Joint Strike Fighter, only 29% are full mission capable. I could keep going down the list. And if you looked at any of those metrics, at any organization, you'd be fired. No one ever gets fired. You never see anybody say, you know what, you just spent billions of dollars of what is not your money, the people's money, and it took twice as long, cost twice as much, and delivered half as much to the soldiers and sailors who need it. You're fired. You're out of here. Doesn't happen.
It's insane. The bureaucracy is so big.
To stumble forward and stumble upwards.
Exactly.